Three best-selling authors on one stage, David Baldacci, John Grisham, and Jodi Picoult in Connecticut for a Mark Twain House benefit. And I caught up with all three before the big event. I started the conversation by asking them about their impression of one of America's beloved authors, Mark Twain.
I think he's probably the literal American iconic writer. When you think of American literature, you think of a guy like Mark Twain, who even the greatest writers we've had, Hemingway and Faulkner, have all paid tribute to him. So he is sort of the American writer.
Jodi, do you admire him much?
Yeah, because he really is someone who combined social commentary with commercial appeal. And, you know, when I think about the things that I try to write, I think it's very much in the same tradition.
Do you have a favorite book that he wrote?
You know, everyone always says it's, you know, Huck Finn or something. That's not my favorite. My favorite it's a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. And
oh, gosh.
I don't know why that's my favorite. Probably because it was the first one I read. But I just love the satire in it and the fact that you can poke fun at society in a way that if you try to do it in a serious way, no one is ever going to want to read at that moment. You know, he was a master of that.
And I know you discussed this with me before. Was it Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer?
Well, both of those are great, but it was ironic that Jodi said Connecticut Yankee because Hank Morgan, who is the protagonist of Connecticut Yankee, is sort of my favorite character. I love Huckleberry Finn, don't get me wrong, and Tom Sawyer are great, and the twins and all that are terrific too, but Hank Morgan, it was probably one of the greatest pieces of satire in American literature. And I think people saw it, a lot of people saw it more as an adventure story, but let me tell you, people should read that book today because it has a lot, it resonates well with what's going on in the world today.
I caught up with John Grisham later in the day when he joined his friends on stage.
When you read Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, for me it had a profound impact on my life as a kid and as a reader. It wasn't all good. In fact, I had a Tom Sawyer club when I was like 10 years old. And we were doing things like, you know, sneaking out of the house at night, playing hooky from school. I was always afraid to run away from home like Tom and Huck because I was afraid of my father. And I had a real close-knit family. But we got into some trouble, and at one point, when the police were involved, they suggested that we disband the Tom Sawyer Club, and so we did. And that was the end of my Tom Sawyer business.
Back to Baldacci and Picoult, the conversation turns to their latest works.
Both of you came out with several books this year.
We're machines.
Yeah, you are. It's amazing to me. You're constantly writing. All right, last time we spoke, you were writing something on the train on the way up here.
Yes.
And what happened to that book?
Yeah, that book is called 0 Day. It's coming out at the end of the month. It's a new thriller with a brand new character, a guy who's in the United States Army. New subject matter for me, and like Jodi, I'm off to the next one now. So it's just, this is how the sausage gets made, you know.
Jodi, you have come out.
I have a new paperback which just came out called Sing You Home. My new hardcover Lone Wolf will come out in March, and also this year actually is a new thing for me. I have a book that was co-written with my daughter who is 16 years old, and it's a YA tween novel that will come out at the end of June.
You're both actually writing differently these days. I mean, you tried to anyway. David, you came out with One Summer,
yep.
And that was a totally different book from what you normally write.
Yeah, it's a softer side of me, right? It was just, I think the more books you write, the more books you just want to stretch as a writer. So I've written a lot of thrillers, and I've written a few books that were not thrillers, and I think it's refreshing for me to step outside of a genre and try to do something else new. It recharges my batteries, and I think a writer is a writer. Don't put them into a genre box. Let them write what they want to write, and that's what I try to do.
And Jodi, your books tend to be, I think anyway, emotionally intense.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's a very good, absolutely, because you really feel it when you're writing. You write a lot about relationships.
Right. And I agree 100% with David. I think if I were going to do the same thing over and over, writing would be very boring for me. So I need to challenge myself every time. And sometimes that means writing in a genre that's different. Sometimes it means writing in a voice that's different or about a topic that's very different.
Legal thrillers are Grisham's forte, but he too has penned outside the box. Most recently, young adult novels.
My daughter started teaching school. She teaches 5th graders 3 years ago, and she told me that the kids reading, kids get a lot of fantasy, a lot of historical fiction, but she was having trouble finding good suspense for kids. And so she asked me, she said, can you write suspense for kids? And I said, well, I'll try. And that was the first Theodore Boone book, and now there have been 2, and I'm on the 3rd one now, and the series has really taken off and been a whole lot of fun.
And the inspiration for the written word can come from anywhere.
I write in airport lounges, I write in hotel rooms, I write at
We're
my
writing right
kids',
now,
yeah,
actually.
right
You
now
don't
in our
know it,
heads.
but
It's
we're
already in your head.
Yeah.
You're writing
Yeah.
something.
Absolutely.
I mean, I take my laptop with me to my kids' sporting events. I've done that all the time. You know, you write wherever you have to because you carry your office between your ears.
Are you just inspired by people you meet? How does that work?
No, I mean, like for me, driving's a big one. Sometimes when I'm driving, I just think, oh my gosh, that's what has to happen in that chapter. So I take out a pen and I write it on my hand. And because I lose Post-it notes, but I don't lose my hand. I used to write on my kids because I didn't lose them either, but they don't let me do that anymore.
Oh my goodness! So you really, it's whatever pops in your mind, you just write it down.
Yeah, it's not a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
I think writing is just life experience. You could walk around a corner and see somebody talking to somebody, and an idea just sprouts from that. That's why I think we both like to travel, and and not so much seeing the world at 35,000 feet from a plane, but actually driving or taking a train or walking and seeing things, because I've come up with ideas in the most unlikely places.
I read the newspapers. I mean, seriously, the headlines from today, there are 2 or 3 cases every day getting a lot of play in the media, whether it's newspapers, magazines, television. I watch trials, not in the courtroom, but keep up with them. Litigation, trends, law firms, lawyers, what are they doing? And that's my world. That's what I enjoy. For me, it's not research, it's just pure fun. And so you take a good story, I'll find a good story. Writers are thieves, we steal everything. And I'll take an idea and I'll grind it through probably a hyperactive imagination with a goal of creating a plot, a really compelling plot.
For Grisham, the creative side flows as soon as there is a publication date.
It's never a surprise. And I know the date for next year, okay, 2012. And I work backwards. So this year, 2011, I knew the date was October the 25th. So January the 1st, I have to start writing. Every day, 5 or 6 days a week. Several hours early every morning. No down days, no writer's block, but I have a very clear outline of what I'm writing. I know where I'm going. Poor people couldn't pay, and we said, forget about the fee.
John Grisham's newest book is The Litigators, just released this week. And next week, check out 0 Day, the latest book written by David Baldacci. Also look for Jodi Picoult's Sing You Home, now out in paperback. There's more Connecticut Style right after this.